Hello and welcome to Edinburgh Napier's Science in the City Bites 2021. I am Dr. Samantha Donnellan, a new lecturer in Biomedical Sciences here in the School of Applied Sciences. Helping me run this event is our very own student, Lauren.
Hi everyone, my name's Lauren. I'm a second year Biomedical Sciences student at the School of Applied Sciences at Edinburgh Napier. Nice to see you all.
Thanks, Lauren. The idea behind this virtual event was to showcase the diverse research ongoing within the School of Applied Sciences here at Napier, to highlight some of the different projects and expertise the school has to offer. From mangrove forests in Kenya to ethics in Scottish schools and football injuries to rheumatoid arthritis, we have a great selection of speakers for you today. All of our speakers volunteered, some were bullied, to take part in this event, and for that we are extremely grateful. Following all of the 7 quick-fire talks, there will be a quiz. And a word of advice, if you have a terrible memory such as I do, it might be worth taking a few notes during the presentations and try remember the key points. There are prizes at stake, remember. After the quiz, we will check the scoreboard and we will ask you to vote for the presenter. The best presenter will win the very first Science in the City Bites Medal 2021. So there's lots up for grabs for the speakers as well. There are a few things to note during the presentations and a couple of points that might help you along. So please listen to what Lauren has to say to go through these for you.
So for tonight, we're doing our quiz on Mentimeter. So if you could please have your smartphone ready to answer our questions. You will have to make your own nickname for the quiz, so please don't use anything rude, and then we can all play. And we're very grateful for our researchers. They've made lovely 3-minute videos for you tonight. But because they're filmed at home, there might be a couple audio issues. So if you could just adjust that at home for whatever suits best, that'd be great. For after the quiz, if you are lucky enough to be one of our winners tonight of our great prizes, we have a £50 voucher and a £20 voucher for Blackwell's, every student's favourite. If you could please claim your prize by emailing social@napier.ac.uk or just DMing Edinburgh Napier on any social media. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you, Lauren. So let's begin with our first speakers tonight. Our very first speakers are Lisa McMillan and Joe Brown. To introduce them, Lisa McMillan is a laboratory technician in microbiology and Joe Brown is a technical assistant in biomedical science. Both Lisa and Joe became increasingly concerned with the volume of single-use plastics and lack of recycling facilities in the Napier's laboratories. The quantity of waste involved and the resulting environmental impact warranted an investigation. Going forward, they developed a protocol to decontaminate and reroute lab plastic waste away from general waste and into the recycling stream, thus helping Napier's carbon footprint, raising its profile, and hopefully influencing society by providing sustainable practices across the sector.
Hi, I'm Jo and this is Lisa. We have 3 minutes and we want to tell you 3 things. 1. We all know that plastic waste in the environment is a huge problem and we all do our best to recycle. But did you know laboratories, labs worldwide use an estimated 5.5 million tonnes of single-use plastic each year. That's more than 80% of all the plastic recycled across the globe in a year. That's equal to the weight of 67 cruise ships. We all benefit from scientific efforts, take the COVID vaccine, but in relation to the climate crisis and environment generally, producing and dealing with all this plastic is very bad news. What makes things worse, virtually none of these plastics are ever recycled. They're often contaminated with potentially harmful bacteria and other bugs. As a result, the majority of scientists don't even consider recycling as an option.
2. We decided there had to be a better way of dealing with all this plastic. On campus, we already recycled most waste from other spaces, such as the cafe. So in 2018, we asked our waste company whether they would also take lab plastics. We were delighted when they agreed. So we standardised a decontamination process across all our labs and set up appropriate bins and signs so that everyone was clear on safe handling.
3. To date, we have diverted 1.5 tonnes of plastic away from general waste. That's enough to fill 300 black bin bags and 30 external commercial bins. We've now shared our story with around 50 different universities and other organisations, all of them struggling with a lab plastic problem. We're really inspired to influence others in labs across the country to also question the previously unquestionable. We all need to start making a dent in the 5.5 million tonnes.
That was great. Our next speaker today is Francesco Elio. He is a current sports scientist student and has worked with both Italian and English professional football clubs. He is currently pursuing his PhD at Edinburgh Napier School of Applied Sciences, investigating mechanisms of injury in football. His video this evening is called How Do Football Injuries Happen?
Worldwide, 250 million people play football. Football, as the other sport, is very important because it helps people socialize and improve physical and mental health. And yeah, there is also a tiny group of people who earn a lot of money playing football. However, even if there are so many good aspects about football, there is also some cons. And no, I'm not talking about your neighbor screaming during a football match. I'm talking about football injuries. So every 1,000 hours, 20 injuries occur, which means that if we have a team of 20 players, 2 or 3 of them will get injured every month. This could be quite annoying because this could impact their quality of life. And indeed, it might some injured player may need to work with crutches for some time, and some might need to go into surgery. Furthermore, injuries poses also a burden on football clubs and public health system. Indeed, the direct cost of injury is estimated to be 5% of professional football clubs' revenue and 1% of public health system budget. So what I'm trying to do is to try to give my contribution to help to reduce football injuries. To do so, we need to follow 4 steps. At first, we need to evaluate the extent of football injuries. Then we need to identify the risk factors and the mechanism of injury. And finally, we can try to develop injury prevention strategies. Even if not perfect, there is a lot of research on these topics. However, little has been done on mechanism of injury, to identify the mechanism of injury. Indeed, the information about this topic is quite confused because data are reported inconsistently. Therefore, I'm developing a standardized classification system to help to gather such information. Furthermore, using video analysis and global position systems, I am analyzing in detail the activities that lead to injury. For example, if a player gets injured while running with these systems, I will be able to evaluate the running phase at which the injury occurred at the exact speed at which the injury occurred. With this information, we hope to be able to help to develop better injury prevention strategies and reduce the injury burden. And this way, we have to be able to help professional and recreational football players to enjoy the sport they love.
Thank you, Francesco. That was fantastic. Our next speakers and presenters are Dr. Graham Wright and Dr. Beatrix Vale. Graham Wright is an Associate Professor of Immunology whose group works on gene and cell therapy to cure autoimmune diseases. His work was the first to demonstrate that a population of suppressive immune cells, called regulatory T cells, could be reprogrammed and turned into super immune cells to turn off damaging immune responses. Beatrix is a postdoctoral research associate leading a project within the group to harness this approach and to treat and cure rheumatoid arthritis.
In this video, I'm going to talk about how the immune system makes the decision as to whether to attack a germ or not, and how it does this without accidentally attacking ourselves. I'm going to talk about how sometimes this goes wrong, leading to the immune system attacking the body by mistake. And finally, I'm going to talk about how my lab is trying to solve this problem. I'm going to start by introducing an important immune cell called the T cell. This is the immune cell that makes the decision as to whether to go ahead with an immune response or not. I'm going to introduce 2 types of T cells to you, and the first is the attacker T cell. The attacker T cells have been specially educated only to attack germs or microbes. They can recognize any and all germs through a series of unique receptors on their surface. This system works very well in responding to germs, but occasionally it makes mistakes and accidentally recognizes our own tissue. So there's a second set of T cells called the regulatory T cells, which have the ability to override or turn off the attacker T cells if they make a bad decision. Regulatory T cells also have unique surface receptors, but these are different to the attacker T cells because they are educated to recognize our own tissue. So if they detect an immune response happening inappropriately against you, they can turn it off. Most of the time, these two systems work perfectly, but occasionally the regulatory T cells can make a mistake and fail to identify and stop an immune response against our own bodies. When this happens and the immune system starts to attack itself, we have what's called an autoimmune disease. Now, one of the autoimmune diseases we work on in our lab is rheumatoid arthritis. Now, in rheumatoid arthritis, the attacker T cells start to recognize cartilage in the joint and starts to attack it. In the absence of a regulatory T cell able to recognize this cartilage as self and to stop it from being attacked by these T cells, we end up with inflammation and damage in the joints. What we do in our lab is we try to solve this problem using advanced DNA technologies to reprogram the faulty regulatory T cells to create a super immune cell. Now, the technology is complicated, but the concept is actually quite simple. We have these attacker T cells recognizing cartilage causing damage. The Treg population, though, are unable to recognize the cartilage and turn off the bad response. So we use techniques that allow us to read the DNA sequence of the receptor that is recognizing the joint and causing the disease. Once we have that sequence, we can then express that receptor in the regulatory T cells that will then allow it to start to recognize the joint in the same way the attacker T cells are doing. Using this process, we have been able to make a population of regulatory T cells that are able to target the joint in a way that they previously were not. By doing this, we're able to harness their powerful potential to turn off the attacker T cells and stop the disease, hopefully for good. We've shown that this can work in models of rheumatoid arthritis and using cells from patients with rheumatoid arthritis in the lab. We're now in the process of translating this to the clinic, and that's what Beatrice is working on at the moment.
That's amazing work. Feel free to let us know how you're enjoying the videos in the comments, guys. That's very much appreciated. But I'll move on to our next speaker. So our next speaker is Dr. Giacomo Russo. He is a lecturer in pharmaceutical sciences, and his research interests encompass the fields of pre-formulation and formulation of active pharmaceutical ingredients, biomimetic chromatography method development, and validation and endocrine disruption. His video this evening is called Biometric Chromatography. Is it a tool to reduce animal testing? Enjoy.
Hi, this is Giacomo Russo, lecturer in pharmaceutical sciences at Edinburgh Napier University. What do you do when you have a migraine or an headache? You might take a pill, paracetamol, ibuprofen. Does this ring a bell? But what about the huge amount of work between the identification of a disease and the development of a treatment? Well, this is an extremely long and intensive process that is included in the drug discovery, drug development pipeline. One of the most important steps in this is the identification of a target. A target is an enzyme of a protein which is responsible of the development of a disease, and medicinal chemists are normally synthesizing the molecules. So basically the keys that allow to interact with the locker, so the target, to, in a way, produce some changes helpful and useful to fight the disease. But a huge amount of work is also done to establish whether or not a drug candidate can concentrate, can reach specific body districts. For instance, if you're suffering from migraine, you might want something able to get to the brain, right? Normally, this was done by animal testing, so usually by also sacrificing those animals. Animal testing is currently very discouraged, as it is also raising some criticism from the general public. Biomimetic liquid chromatography is a way to assess whether or not a molecule has the chances to act towards specific body districts, for instance, the brain, without the need of sacrificing animals. Chromatography, as you might be aware, is a technique which consists in the separation of a mixture of components in the individual compounds that appears as peak. However, when this chromatography is done on support, mimicking the structure of the cells or the plasma protein involved in the distribution of drugs, then this specific chromatography is called biomimetic liquid chromatography. In my lab, we are doing lots of biomimetic liquid chromatography, and we are also in the process of developing new supports and advanced supports for biomimetic liquid chromatography, able to mimic even better the structure, in our case, of the brain. So far we have managed to predict with a degree of accuracy up to 90% the chances of a compound to cross the blood-brain barrier. However, we are further investigating whether this can be verified also for larger compound libraries or for other body districts.
Thank you, Dr. Rousseau. Very interesting again there. Our next speaker is Lillian Mohaki. Lillian is a second-year PhD student in the School of Applied Sciences and has the most incredible PhD project of which I'm incredibly jealous of. Kenya-based, Lillian's doctoral program aims at producing a tool for monitoring climate change mitigation and conservation efforts in the blue carbon ecosystems.
Hello everyone, my name is Lillian Mohaki. Welcome to my lovely, beautiful backyard. I'm studying this forest behind me. These are mangrove forests, they grow between land and sea. I'm looking at how they capture carbon from the atmosphere and store it in the ecosystems. I'm trying to model and simulate this while coming up with simple ways of measuring and predicting these processes. At the same time, I'm looking at the effects of us human beings removing dead wood from this forest and how that affects that carbon sequestration process. My study is very important in that I'm studying a very unique ecosystem. The ocean is our lifeline, regardless of how close or far we are to it. It plays critical roles in our food security, climate change mitigation, biodiversity support, among many other functions. So degradation of one of the ecosystems means the whole system is stressed. I'm carrying out assessments and experiments in this forest with an aim of modeling and simulating the carbon sequestration process. I am hoping that this work will assist especially the local implementers of carbon offset projects to be able to monitor and report their activities in this forest. At Napier, I have an opportunity to develop my skills through the many training programs. I also have access to resources and especially to very helpful supervisors, and of course to be part of a research community. Through my work, I look to contribute to local, regional and international efforts to manage and conserve this forest, particularly for their role in climate change mitigation. I also look to become a great blue carbon practitioner. Asanteni na karibuni sana Kenya. Bye.
Oh, amazing. How good does the view look in that? I'm glad that you guys are all enjoying this. We're looking through your comments and it's great to hear from you all. But I'll move on to our next speaker. So our next speaker is Terry Osborne. Terry previously worked in the Royal Navy and then the local government before he started sailing around the world for 10 whole years. He is finally back at school and is a second-year PhD student currently working on identifying and interrogating embedded ethics in the curriculum for excellence in Scottish schools. He says his academic background consists of sport and leisure, theology, humanities and philosophy, and the good old University of Life. His video tonight is called Ethics in Scotland's School System. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Terry. My work looks at ethics embedded in Scotland's school system. Children's upbringing is an ethical value. But is ethics a science? No. What then? I'm not sure, but I'm in pretty good company. Menno asked Socrates about it, who replied, "My good man, you must think I'm inspired. I don't even know the least little thing about virtue. I don't even know what it is." Brilliant. I'm researching school ethics, but Socrates didn't even know what virtue is. Okay, 3 ideas. It's not about following rules. 2. Being ethical is learning to live with not knowing. 3. Ethics involves an unknown to come. Curriculum for Excellence, or CFE, launched in 2004. Rolled out to all schools by 2010. It emphasises skills, pushing knowledge away from centre stage. Its embedded ethics are largely utilitarian and pluralist. Pluralism is tolerating incompatible descriptions of the world, a variety of ways of life and moral standards. But left to take care of itself in a kind of free market of morals, the competing claims of pluralism confuse philosophers, let alone children. Utilitarianism, on the other hand, equates personal happiness with the general happiness and interests of society, and so does CFE. Young people taking their place in Scotland's modern society and economy is stated as the very purpose of CFE. No longer something good in itself, Scottish education can almost be seen as built into a contract of government. Perfection of means, confusion of ends, seems to characterise our age, thought Einstein. Aristotle saw well-being as the highest of all goods achievable by action, and prosperity he saw as a means to human well-being. CFE flips means and ends. Well-being is now a means to prosperity, a job. We need to understand more about CFE's values. Values aren't facts. We attribute value. But who will say they don't matter? CFE teaches children about the values of Scottish society. But surely a job is only one part of a successful life. Some of the best parts often seem both pleasant and difficult. An unknown to come, not knowing, a mystery perhaps. Perhaps that's why Socrates didn't even know the least little thing about virtue. Do you?
Thank you, Terry. I can't actually pronounce half of the words he just spoke there, but I hope you all followed his story of ethics in Scottish schools. Our final speaker is Professor Mick Ray. Professor Ray and his colleagues work to better understand how the fetal environment leaves a legacy, including determination of lifelong health trajectory and the risk of adult illness. With colleagues, they examine how maternal endocrine status can affect both fertility and metabolism in adulthood, what the mechanisms are that drive these effects on lifelong health, how issues can be corrected, and how those at risk can be identified. Perhaps grab yourself a little drink for this one.
Everything needs a solid foundation, a good beginning, in order to build a reliable and sound structure thereafter. We need the right materials used in the best way for a solid footing. Living things are no different. They also require a solid foundation, and for us, this begins in utero. We can think of our own development in fetal life as building our health foundations. We get all the original materials, the instructions, through the genetic materials supplied to us by mum and dad. How we use these plans during development will colour how we respond to our environments in terms of health for the rest of our lives. It is, if you like, the laying down of what some people call our constitution. We have to make sure that the foundations are just right though, because if not, then at some point during life, the health challenges we face as adults will exploit the poor quality underlying health capacity that we developed in our early lives.
Why do some people seem to have, for want of a better description, a stronger constitution than others? Some people seem to be naturally healthier than others. Well, of course, adult life and adult behaviour and lifestyle is very important, but it doesn't explain everything. Genetics, you might say. You'd have a good point. But there are studies showing that people who share very similar genetics, for example, siblings within the same family, can grow up to have very different health outcomes.
You see, the conditions that we experience in utero during our fetal life inside mum appear to impinge upon our health trajectory for the rest of our lives. Now, what kind of conditions can change the environment in utero? Well, things like maternal nutrition, maternal endocrine disease, stress, chemical exposures. All of these things can interact and change very subtly the thousands, tens of thousands of processes that are occurring simultaneously in order to create a new life. When the car breaks down, we have the manual to mend it, but we don't have a human manual for these problems. However, thanks to technology developments, we are developing one. We've already discovered why some people are at greater risk, for example, of obesity. And by understanding how this is a legacy of the fetal life environment, we're able to develop therapies to avoid obesity and thereby maximise lifelong health. The way we're approaching this problem is actually allowing us to pinpoint exactly what's wrong. And if we know exactly what's wrong, then we know what to do to fix it. The medical profession's already given us longer lifespans. Now we need to equate health span with that, so that these longer lives can be longer, healthier, and more enjoyable from the beginning to the end. Cheers.
Cheers to you too, Mick. I'm not sure what help Absolute Vodka would have on extending your lifespan. However, very interesting. Thank you very much. That is all our speakers tonight, everybody. I hope you enjoyed them, and I hope you enjoyed the diverse nature of them. So next up is our quiz, most anticipated. Now, to enter this quiz, you do need to go onto the website www.menti.com. So you ideally have to have two screens, so maybe your phone and tablet and your laptop, or have two browsers on your computer. So you can keep us on one screen for the questions and Menti for actually answering your questions. So as I said, it's www.menti.com, and the code to enter is 6040118. That's 6040118. The quiz is timed, so you only have 30 seconds per question, and it's multiple choice. So 30 seconds per question, multiple choice. So if you're not sure, take a good guess. And halfway through the quiz, we will have a leaderboard where we will see who is in the lead and who's actually winning, and see if we've got any people in neck and neck going for the £50 book prize, which is the number one prize, or the second prize of a £20 book prize.
Hopefully it won't get too competitive. We know how everyone likes to win. And once you're ready, if you could hit a wee love heart emoji or the thumbs up, just to let us know that you're ready, or any comments in the chat as well. And then we can begin. The questions aren't too hard. We've got sort of an easy, medium, hard one for each presentation. So yeah, just keep in mind all the recent videos that you've just watched and try and remember anything big or any sort of comments that they made, and that'll be hopefully not too hard for everyone. We do have a comment in the chat. The code is 6440118. So yeah, maybe I think it was 64, not 60 for that one. It seems like we've got quite a few people joining though, which is good. And I hope you've all been enjoying so far. I think our videos are great. I think they've done a great job filming it from home as well.
We'll give everyone just 2 or 3 minutes to get onto Menti and enter the code. So don't rush, don't panic. We'll give it 3 minutes. It's www.menti.com with the code 6440118. So a couple of minutes there.
Seems like through the comments I've just had a read through that everyone is really enjoying them. We have a comment from Freya saying this is very interesting. Fab guest speakers, thank you very much. We think that they're great as well. We've seen them quite a few times, but they're still enjoyable. We like them. We also have another comment from Maggie saying wonderful to hear about all the diverse and important work. Thank you very much. Another person shouting out to Lillian saying that it's exciting and valuable work in Kenya. It is great. And the view doesn't hurt either. There we go. So that's a few more people just saying that they're ready to join now. We'll give you about another minute though, so no rush. Take your time. Oh, we have Lillian herself in the chat saying great research. Hi Lillian, thank you very much for taking part tonight. Everyone seems to really have enjoyed your stuff.
Right, I hope you're all ready and have your notes to hand for the quiz. Remember, it's 30 seconds per question, multiple choice. So you'll see them on this screen that you're watching now, and you must be on the Menti website to enter your answer. Yep. Okay, let's go.
I'll give it just 10 seconds.
All the little icons you can see are all the different players participating in the quiz. So just let you all get in before we begin. Okay, question number 1. Perfection of means and confusion of ends seems to characterize our aims is a quote by A. Aristotle, B. Bono, C. Albert Einstein, D. Nicola Sturgeon. Aristotle, Bono, Albert Einstein, or Nicola Sturgeon? Well done to whoever got that right. Albert Einstein is correct. Question number 2. Chromatography is the process of separating a mixture, A, B, naming Lady Gaga's new album, C, locating a protein, or D, Netflix binging. Chromatography is the process of what? A, separating a mixture, B, naming Lady Gaga's new album, C, locating a protein, or D, Netflix binging. 8 seconds. Correct answer is separating a mixture. Most of you got that one correct. Question 3. Can biological siblings have very different health outcomes? A, yes. B, unlikely. C, no. D, never. Can biological siblings have very different health outcomes? A, yes. B, unlikely. C, no. D, never. And you've got just over 10 seconds left. Well done to the majority of you. Question 4. Socrates did not know what was. A, TikTok. B, ethics. C, the meaning of life. Or D, virtue. Socrates did not know what was. TikTok, ethics, the meaning of life, or virtue. Just over 10 seconds. Keep checking your notes. Oh, that was quite evenly spread. Virtue it was. TikTok. I don't think TikTok's been around for that long. Probably only the last 2 or 3 years, I'd have thought. Question 5. In drug discovery, what is a target? Phagocytosis, A. B, cell nuclei. C, a bullseye. Or D, an enzyme of a disease-causing protein. In drug discovery, what is a target? A, phagocytosis. B, cell nuclei. C, a bullseye. Or D, an enzyme of a disease-causing protein. 10 seconds. I'm glad to see the majority of people are getting this correct every time. So your note-taking or memory is very good. Well done. Question number 6. In a team of 20 professional football players, how many on average are injured each month? A, 0, B, 2 to 3, C, 5+, or D, 20%. So A, 0, B, 2 to 3, C, 5+, or D, 20%. That's in a team of 20 professional football players. The average injury per month. 10 seconds. Oh, that was quite evenly split as well. Okay, guys, I've not been listening too closely, have we? Next question. Question number 7. When was the Curriculum of Excellence, the CFE, launched? The Curriculum for Excellence. 1945 A, B, 10,000 BC, C, 1999, or D, 2004. When was the Curriculum for Excellence launched, the CFE? 1945, 10,000 BC, 1999, or 2004? Well done. Excellent. And I'm glad no one chose 10,000 BC. Question number 8. It is critical that mangroves are managed and conserved as they what? Contribute to climate change, A. Distribute tidal patterns, B. Mitigate climate change, C. Provide food for Bear Grylls, D. It is critical that mangroves are managed and conserved as they A. Contribute to climate change, B. Disrupt tidal patterns, C. Mitigate climate change, or D. Provide food for Bear Grylls. Excellent. I think it's not dead enough for Bear Grylls to eat. Question number 9. What is the process of finding new medicines? A, chromatography. I'm sorry, I actually can't see the options very well on my screen here. B, drug discovery, drug development, I think it says. C, druggability, and I cannot read D because it's just too small, the text on my screen. Lauren, can you read it, Lauren?
So D, the option is crossing your fingers and hoping for the best.
So hopefully you can read them on your screen. And mine is tiny, tiny. It's impossible to make out. Excellent, well done. Question 10. We're getting close to the halfway point. To date, how many single-use plastics have been diverted from Napier University's labs for recycling? A, none. B, 1 ton. C, 1.5 tons. Or D, 3 tons. So how much single-use plastics have been diverted from Napier's labs? A, none. B, 1 ton. C, 1.5 tons. Or D, 3 tons. That's Joe and Lisa's work. Excellent, 1.5 tons, which I think we said equated to about 300 bin bags, if I remember correctly, which is pretty remarkable, actually. Okay, I think this is the final question before we get to our leaderboard. What does FIFA estimate to be the number of global football players? 250,000, 15 million, 250 million, or 1 billion? What does FIFA estimate to be the number of global football players? A, 250,000, B, 15 million, C, 250 million, or D, 1 billion? Francesco did look like he just stepped off a press conference for Real Madrid, I thought, as well, for his presentation. Okay, great, excellent. Majority in 250 million, which is an insane amount of people for such a terrible sport, in my opinion. In the last 50 years, how much mangrove cover has been reduced? In the last 50 years, how much mangrove cover has been reduced by? A, 15%, B, 25%, C, 40%, or D, 45%. So in the last 50 years, how much mangrove cover has been reduced by? 15, 25, 40, or 45. So they're all quite close numbers, so maybe a tricky one. No, it's very close. And the majority actually got it wrong. Interesting. I'd rather it was 25 than 40% though. Okay, here we go. It's the leaderboard.
So it seems like we have 3 headliners heading for the finish. We've got Jamie's out of office reply bot. That's a good nickname. We've got Haley and we've got Nicholas. Those 3 are in the lead at the moment. But then again, we've got another round of questions to go before the finale, so anyone could technically take it. Just depends on who's the best listener, I guess. So I'll take it from here for the next part of the quiz. We have question 13. What is the purpose of developing a standardized classification system for football injuries? Is it A, to better spot the fakers, B, save the football club some money, C, to focus on what's important, their hairstyles, or D even, to develop injury prevention strategies? I mean, I know which answer I want to pick, but I don't think that's necessarily the good answer. There we go. So you've got just over 5 seconds left for that one. Let's see what everyone's got to say. Oh, so everyone was listening. Yes, everyone's right. It's to develop better injury prevention strategies. Let's move on to the next question. So question 14. We've got, why are most laboratory plastics not considered for recycling? Is it A, scientists become emotionally attached to their agar plates? B, contamination from potentially harmful organisms? C, scientists aren't environmentally conscious? Or D, they are made from materials which cannot be recycled? So hopefully people will get the right answers here. Or some people's true emotions will be coming out in their answers as well. Go, just coming up to the answers now. Let's see. We have B is your right answer. Contamination from potentially harmful organisms. Although 4 people are not very keen on scientists. Let's move on to our next question. So question 15. Got, where do the building blocks of new life begin? Is it A, in the abyss, B, in mitochondria, C, in Legoland, or D, in utero? Seems like we've got a good number for the quiz as well, which is good. Let's see what everyone thinks. Just over 5 seconds left. So where do the building blocks of new life begin? Correct, it's in utero. Although whoever said in the abyss, props to you. We'll go to the next question. So it's question 16. Which term describes the failure to recognize and stop an immune response against our own bodies? Is it an autoimmune disorder, Autobots, autoimmune disease, or self-attack syndrome? I mean, I know what Autobots are. Yeah, I don't think Optimus Prime is the one to start anything like this. There we go. So autoimmune disorder, Autobots, autoimmune disease, or self-attack syndrome. The answer is autoimmune disease, and the majority gets it. Well done, everyone. There we go. Question 17. Got, how much single-use plastic comes from laboratories worldwide each year? Is it A, 1 million tons, B, 2.5 million tons, C, 5.5 million tons, or D, the mass equivalent of Earth? That is a lot of plastic. Go. So if you can think back to Lisa and Joe's video on lab recycling, hopefully you'll remember your answer there. So it's A, 1 million tons, B, 2.5 million tons, C, 5.5 million tons, or D, the mass equivalent of Earth. There we go. Got some really good listeners in the audience tonight. It's 5.5 million tons. Cool. On to question 18. We're nearing the end of the quiz now, so time to steal some points. The absence of which cells allowed further immune attack in rheumatoid arthritis? Is it T regulatory cells, T Rex cells, attacker T cells, or T mobile cells? I'll read that out again for everyone. The absence of which cells allow further immune attack in rheumatoid arthritis? Is it A, T regulatory cells, B, T Rex cells, C, attacker cells, or D, T mobile cells? Got 5 seconds to go. Have a good think. It's a lot of good answers there, but it's T regulatory cells. Go. So third last question, question 19. How much more do mangroves capture and store carbon compared to their terrestrial counterparts? Is it 5 times more, 10 times more, 45 times more, or 100 times more? That's for storing and capturing carbon compared to their terrestrial counterparts. Now we'll see who is distracted by the background view in Lillian's video. Go. So 5 times more, 10 times more, 45 times more, or 100 times more. Let's see. And the correct answer is 10 times more. So 21 people got that right. Well done. There we go. Second last question. Let's see. How do attacker T cells identify germs? Through sonar navigation, B, name badges, C, by nasal recognition, or D, unique surface receptors. I mean, I feel like a lot of jobs would be a lot easier if they did wear name badges, but not sure if it's the right answer there. So you've got sonar navigation, name badges, nasal recognition, or unique surface receptors. How do attacker T cells identify germs? And everyone, well, nearly everyone gets that one right. Just one off. Let's see. Last question of the night. Time to steal back that lead. According to Mick, what do we get from mum and dad? Big question. Is it osmotic pressure, genetic material, absolute vodka, mixed favourite obviously, or a questionable taste in music? So according to Mick, what do we get from mum and dad? Is it osmotic pressure, genetic material, absolute vodka, or a questionable taste in music? Again, tough to pick which one I would want to put for that. There we go. 2 people clearly want to make it hard that their music taste is a bit terrible, apparently. But yeah, genetic material was the right answer. Well done to 30 of you. So now we're going to move on to our best presentation vote, and I will pass over to Samantha for that.
Thank you everyone for partaking in the quiz. We'll see all the scores in a second, and we'll come back with who is winning and who is in second place. And if we potentially have a tie break, we have to come up with something what we're going to do, because we hadn't really planned for that. But I would like you now to take a second to decide on who you're going to vote for the best presentation. There is this lovely medal up for grabs, engraved with Science in the City Bites 2021, because we're hoping to maybe make this an annual event if tonight proves to be a success. So base your decision on what you understood from the presentation, how well it was detailed, how it was presented to you, how clear it was, rather than any other factor really. So did you learn from it? Did you remember any facts from it? And did you enjoy it the most? And was it the most easily presented to you for you to understand? So please take a couple of minutes to decide on the vote for this, as our speakers are hopefully watching, so they will know themselves if they are the winner of this lovely medal. But please take a second and choose your favorite speaker.
So I'll just do a run through of whose video was for which name. So we have Lisa and Joe, whose video was Lab Recycling, Yes Really. We have Francesco, who was had his video on how do football injuries happen. We have Graham and Beatrice, who had creating superimmune cells to cure rheumatoid arthritis. We had Giacomo for biomimetic chromatography. Is it a tool to reduce animal testing? We had Lillian on keeping the black in the blue, carbon capture in mangrove ecosystems. We had Terry on ethics in Scotland school system, and we had Mick on is our end in our beginnings. That's the right way to do that one. So yeah, take your time. Please think wisely about who you're going to pick. Obviously, this medal is a big prize. It's a very big prize for everyone. And hopefully no one will fall out over that. So we'll give you another couple of seconds just to put in your last minute votes. But yeah, think about your style, content, and delivery. And we'll have a wee look to see who the winner is for that one. Are you ready? Let's have a wee look. Oh, yay.
Graham, Beatrix, well done. You are the winners. And this is a shame because I have one medal and there's both of you. So I'm not sure what we're going to do about this. Maybe cut it in half or in a shared office somewhere. But you are the clear winner of the public vote. So your talk on arthritis was worthy of this first ever medal of Science in the City Bites 2021. So well done to you both. Have a round of applause for Graham and Beatrix. Thank you. Now is the part you've all been waiting for to see who the winner of the quiz is. We don't know either. It's going to generate on the next screen, so we will see who the winner is. And anyone who has won first or second place, please stick around or send us a message with your email address or phone number so we can be in touch about getting the book vouchers out to you. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you very, very much for partaking in this. This was our first time we've ever done anything like this, and we've really enjoyed setting it up. There's a little bit more involved than we anticipated, and behind the scenes we have Phil, Miriam and Ron, who have just been absolutely fantastic in helping run this tonight, and we wouldn't have managed without them. And again, thank you to Lauren, who's a second-year student here at Napier, who's been very much instrumental to running this event tonight. Please send us some feedback. You'll get feedback forms through your email address, because we'd like to know how to improve this for the future if we were to run it again next year. So please take a second to fill them out and return them to us. And any comments or suggestions on how to improve it would be helpful. And the fact that this has worked, it's all virtual and it's actually worked, I'm absolutely delighted and also amazed that it's worked so smoothly. So that's great news. Thank you.
So if we're all ready, I think it's time to find out who our lucky winner is. So the prizes again are, first prize is a £50 book voucher for Blackwells, and second prize is £20 voucher for Blackwells as well. So 2 decent prizes up for grabs. Let's have a wee look. So this is our final leaderboard. It's going to add up your scores, including the last round. And it's going to rebalance it for us. Let's have a look. Oh, and our first place winner is Jamie's Out of Office Reply Bot with 19,000 points. Well done, Jamie. Well done. Second place, we seem to have a tie for Freya and Haley. But yeah, if you could put into the chat that you're a winner, we'll obviously congratulate you. And then please email social@napier.ac.uk to claim your prize, or DM Edinburgh Napier on any social media. Put that there. Well done though, Jamie. So that's the end of our talk there. Thank you very much for coming tonight and spending some time with us and enjoying the diverse research that's going on at the School of Applied Sciences. Hopefully it gives you a good insight to what's currently going on. And again, a big thank you to all of our researchers who took the time and effort to put the videos together for us. We're really, really grateful.
Yeah, thank you very much to our speakers. They were the whole reason tonight was possible, and all the talks were really, really excellent. Actually, I loved them all, and I loved how diverse they were and how different. And it does show nicely the different type of research going on within the School of Applied Sciences here at Napier. So the winners, please do get in touch with us. Send us your details, information, and we did see that there's a tie for second place, but don't worry, we will sort that out. But please send us your details so we can follow that up. Thank you very much to everyone for watching once again, and for everyone that helped organise this tonight. Thank you and bye.